My daughter's imaginary tea parties always had an extra seat set, until I checked the old family photos and saw who used to sit exactly there. We moved into my childhood home about a year ago, after my parents relocated closer to my brother's family. It felt strange raising my own daughter Ivy in the same rooms I grew up in, but she settled in quickly, especially into the small sunroom off the kitchen, where she started hosting her tea parties almost daily. At first, it seemed completely normal. Ivy was 5, and imaginary tea parties are about as classic as childhood play gets. She'd set out her little plastic teacups, chatting happily to no one in particular, the way kids do when deep in imaginative play. I didn't think twice about it, finding it sweet watching her entertain herself in that quiet corner. What I did notice, gradually, was that she always set exactly 4 cups, even though it was usually just her and sometimes me joining briefly. 3 cups would have made sense. One for her, one for me, one for a stuffed animal she loved carrying everywhere. But she always insisted on 4, placing the 4th cup at a specific spot near the window, the same spot every single time without fail, almost ritualistically precise about it. I asked her once who the 4th cup was for. She said simply, for the lady who used to sit there, without further elaboration, going right back to pouring imaginary tea like it was the most obvious thing in the world, completely unbothered by my confusion. I brushed it off initially, assuming it was just another imaginative detail kids invent without deeper meaning, but the specificity of her phrasing stuck with me longer than expected. Used to sit there wasn't the kind of thing a 5-year-old typically says about a completely made-up friend, and something about it lingered uncomfortably in the back of my mind for days. Over the following weeks, I started paying closer attention. Ivy never wavered on the placement. Even when I casually moved the 4th cup slightly during cleanup, testing whether it actually mattered to her, she'd move it back to that exact spot the next time she set up, insisting quietly, almost automatically, that it belonged there specifically, and nowhere else. One afternoon, while helping my mom sort through boxes of old family photos she'd left behind during the move, I came across a stack of pictures from when I was young, back before I was old enough to remember much of anything clearly myself. Flipping through them casually, one photo stopped me completely in place. It was our family, gathered in that exact sunroom decades earlier, and there, seated in the exact spot Ivy always placed her 4th teacup, was my older sister Claire, who passed away from an illness when I was only 2 years old, years before I had any conscious memories of her at all. The photo showed her small and smiling, sitting in that same window spot during what looked like a tea party, very similar to the ones Ivy now hosted regularly, without any prompting from anyone. I sat with that photo for a long time, my hands slightly shaking as the pieces slowly settled into place around me. Nobody had ever specifically told Ivy about Claire, or described where she used to sit, or mentioned tea parties from decades before Ivy was even born into this family. It wasn't something we talked about often growing up. My parents' grief around Claire's death had always stayed quiet and private throughout my entire childhood, almost deliberately unspoken. I brought the photo to my mother, showing her exactly where Claire was seated in the old picture. My mom went very still, tears immediately filling her eyes as she confirmed what I already suspected before she even spoke a word. That spot, that exact window seat, had always been Claire's favorite place. In the house, somewhere she used to host her own imaginary tea parties as a small child before she got sick, long before either of us had ever mentioned it to anyone in front of Ivy. I don't have a tidy explanation for how Ivy knew to place that 4th cup exactly there, insisting so specifically on a detail she couldn't have possibly learned any normal way through us. I've stopped needing one, honestly. Some things about family carry forward in ways that don't really require a clean explanation, quiet threads connecting people who never got the chance to actually meet each other at all. Ivy still sets that 4th cup every single time, and these days, instead of feeling unsettled by it the way I initially did, I just let her pour the tea quietly.